was a cop. Is it based in New York? I can't remember where it was
I
based in.
don't know.
But one was a cop, and now she can like know where the bad guys are, like automatically type thing, and so it's really
Mhm.
interesting. I like watching it because it kind of has that paranormal feel, to like,
Yeah.
what is it,
Right. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. I mean, I don't watch much TV. I don't watch any ghost stuff.
Yeah.
Um, I used to watch things like A Haunting and things like that, but I don't even watch that anymore. Um, I find that the less I watch those,
The
the
smarter
better
you are.
investigator that I can
The
be.
smarter you are,
Yeah,
yeah.
because I don't want to sit there and go, A Haunting, so because I don't, I'm not that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I'm better off to, and of course, Ghost Adventures, you can't help but seeing that crap on Facebook.
Mhm.
And, great that those guys are making a living at fake stuff. But, and yes, I said that, fake stuff.
Yeah.
That's all right.
So,
I'm right there with you.
yeah, that's what they do for a living. That's what they do for a living, entertaining people.
Yeah.
And,
The sad part is a lot of paranormal teams now are getting into this field trying to be like them.
yes. And I had said before that, I think that's one of the reasons why these young teenagers and stuff are having mental issues because they're ordering a spirit box on Amazon and running out to a cemetery, and they do actually get a word from beyond, if you will, and it's really messing with their head, and it's like they've become addicted to the paranormal, and then they go to making stuff up.
Mhm.
And they put themselves in situations where they're going to get hurt just chasing the paranormal.
Mhm.
And I think Zach Bagans is the cause of a lot of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's put it out there to where people have fallen ill because of locations he's been at or passed away because of locations. He's it's sad to say it, but he's actually taken credit for some of the things he's done, having caused people to go mentally insane or died.
Yeah.
And it's you know
And some of the reasons that we get into uh, things like we're doing, like the paranormal field, I find myself wanting the historical side of it so very much. We just did investigation with Nathan. We were at Old Cahaba. Um, we actually helped the Alabama archaeological uh, people over there do a fundraiser for archaeological digs and stuff at Old Cahaba and stuff like that. We did a little ghost tour through there. They got to come through the slave quarters, play with some of our equipment and that type of thing. Um, that's great, and I like being a part of that because that's helping history, helping preserve history for our children down, when they get old enough and, well, this is here, this is how it used to be, and so on and so forth. When you have some teams that go in and try to destroy these places
Mhm.
because they're looking for that thrill, and that's one of the reasons why it um, there has to be some of our association here in Alabama, Association of Paranormal Investigators, with groups that go there because they had some people, even from the Sci-Fi Channel, go in there and do some damage and stuff to some of those places. So, I mean, with that said, I love history. I love learning about places, and if you dig deep enough, you're going to find something that's not exactly right about a lot of places.
Yeah.
mhm.
And so, we use that in our investigations a lot. And but the history is where to be.
Right.
I mean,
And that's the
so how?
problem is a lot of teams don't look to that part
No,
of it.
no, but, they make that phone call and oh, we got this investigation. They're gonna run over there and start calling out a bunch of spirits and stuff like that. And that's another thing that some of these teams they're getting themselves in trouble. They do come in contact with something, and then they start calling out stuff,
Mhm.
and 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 it starts biting them in the butt, so to speak. And they get attachments and so on and so forth. That what happens when that happens.
Mhm.
Yeah, we've got a lot of new paranormal groups in Tucson right now that are on Meetup and places like that, and they're scheduling daytime cemetery ghost hunts and nighttime cemetery ghost hunts, and
Without permission.
yeah, and they're not getting permission because I'll read these things and they state when we get there we're going to break up into groups of 2 to 3 and go separate directions.
Right.
It's like, okay, so you're going on to a cemetery, performing an investigation without anybody knowing, acting like groups that are there to see loved ones. It's kind of a little disrespectful and law breaking.
Sure. And you get people there that are visiting their loved ones. Um, they probably look at these people like they're you're trying to call my loved one back,
Mhm.
and,
Yeah.
and that type of thing. And yeah, that's really, really disrespectful.
Yeah.
And so we've done a couple of cemeteries, and we went out there for one reason, not just jumping around, just seeing what we get. We went to Grant Sir Harrison's cemetery. It's one of Alabama's 13 ghosts. Um, and we specifically went out there to do an investigation in his crypt. And I mean, we got some interesting stuff. Is it paranormal? I don't know. I don't think so, but it was interesting to see. But and it was fun to do. But just to run off down the road to a cemetery and start going around and calling names of these graves and stuff like that, like I've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not right.
Yeah, Becky and I, we've done 2. One was the original Tombstone Cemetery, and it wasn't so much to do an investigation, but to check it out and see the history of how old this cemetery is. And then the other one we did was down in
San Diego.
no, not San Diego. Oh, well, that'd be 3, but that was still just to see the cemetery.
Yeah.
The other one was down Naco. But anyways, we were invited out there by this old veteran that
Oh, okay,
that
in Rio Rico.
oh, Rio Rico. Okay, he found this cemetery that
Was
was
forgotten
about, and basically it's been abandoned and overgrown. So he's been dedicating his time to go out there every weekend to cut back the brush and clean up the graveyard and bring it back so that people can see it and remember these fallen soldiers from the 1800s.
I think I seen you guys doing a Facebook Live or
Yeah,
something
we
on that.
did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was pretty interesting.
yeah, we did. So he invited us down there. We helped him
Clean it up.
and later we all went back with him and did just a short investigation. And you know,
Yeah, because he said he's had experiences there.
yeah,
So we went ahead and we did, a small little investigation there. But when we did this though, we literally though we left things on every grave. We wanted to make sure every grave had something. So before we went back to investigate, we went to a store and we got some flowers, we got some toys for the children, and when we went back and we were investigating, we were also making sure that every grave had something on it.
Well, that's nice.
So we didn't want to leave any grave empty. We wanted to make sure that everyone had something. So when we've done these things, we've been very respectful about it. And the other two, we didn't investigate. I mean, I think we had a recorder
We had
on the one, but
we had a
we
recorder
just
on the one.
basically walked around. We didn't call anyone out.
It was basically, oh my God, this person was alive back in
Yeah.
1789. It's like, how do you comprehend a piece of stone being engraved that far back and going, wow, that's history right there.
Yeah.
That person was
Was
here.
manufactured by an Indian.
Yeah. Yeah. I love. Does it sound weird to say that I love old cemeteries? But I do. It's just, it's not. I'm not even going there thinking there's a ghost here, because why would a ghost want to hang out at their grave? That's how I feel.
It's history preserved at its finest.
Yeah. And that's what I go for. I walk around and I look at these tombstones and I look at the dates, and I try to imagine what life was like back then. How did they survive? What did they do? So I'm there looking at the history part of things, not I want to find a ghost.
Right. Yeah. If I were a ghost, I wouldn't hang out in the cemetery.
Yeah.
Oh hell no, that's like, okay, there's my body that I'm never
Yeah.
gonna get to inhabit again.
Right.
And it's not even there anymore. If they were born and died in the 1800s, it's dust now. But
Exactly. When we did Folly Jail, we did the city cemetery as well. And one of the main reasons why I did that was when I did my research, we came across um, a gentleman that was last name was Mr. Butterfield, and the Red Roof Theater was actually, it used to be a church, was actually built on top of his grave.
Oh, wow.
And the family was trying to get up some money so they could at least get a marker, put there. Of course, they're not going to move the building. The building is old, but they have, theatrical shows and stuff there now. But we went over and um, did some stuff over in the cemetery, and we got a lot of K2 hits, and we got some EVPs. Now, some of the myths of Polly Jail is that Aberdeen Johnson was pulled out of the jail and taken over to the cemetery and strung up and shot more than 150 times.
Oh, wow.
That's a little overkill.
Well,
Yeah.
it's a little bit of an overkill, really. But and we found out that indeed happened, but it didn't happen in the cemetery. It was on further down the road, probably a mile, half a mile, or something like that. And it's a tenth of a mile from the jail to the cemetery. So Teresa and I, when we were doing our research, this is the third year we've done Polly Jail, and we find something new about it every time. And we have dug down, interviewed people that was actually in the jail, and so on and so forth, and found out that, man, he didn't die in the cemetery as it was portrayed on a couple TV shows and things like that. And what they're getting in the cemetery is Mr. Butterfield. There was a group that just recently went over there and got a thermal image of something, and they're calling it Aberdeen Johnson, and it's not.
Right. Well, because they don't want to bother doing the research. They want to just call it paranormal.
Right. So I agree with you, and that's some of the issues I do have as well with some of the groups and stuff that's in the paranormal field. And I don't want to, or for my group, we don't want to be that way.
Right.
And we're not going to be that way. And we've downsized a little bit of our group simply because of people acting in that manner.
Right. Yeah, we've let people go because of them wanting to state that everything was paranormal also.